Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Of course, today we have more Nintendo NX and Nintendo news to talk about. It's been pretty busy the last few days. I know I mentioned before that Kimishima, the new president of Nintendo, did come out and discuss some of Nintendo's plans with the NX going forward. Very, very vague stuff. And initially I wasn't going to make a video discussing this, but when I went back and checked the information, what I found interesting is really what he discussed was far more than just the NX. There was a couple of things as far as large-scale plans for Nintendo as a company that he has and kind of discussed, laid out going forward in a recent interview with a Japanese newspaper. So I figured it probably was worth talking about because he was more discussing Nintendo as a whole, not just the NX, even though that was a part of the conversation. And, you know, I don't want to get too caught up in the whole talking about the NX at every given opportunity, even though it is very fun to discuss. So I figured, all right, let's touch on a couple of these points that he recently brought up and see what's going on there and share my quick thoughts about them. So the first thing, you know, starting off with the NX and what he discussed, he did confirm that Nintendo will be showing off the Nintendo NX soon, which was something that we knew to expect. It's something that Nintendo had basically confirmed over last year, that 2016 was when we're going to hear it. Reggie brought it up at Nintendo E3 digital event and said, we have the NX, we'll discuss it next year, and that's all he said. So we knew to expect it coming up sometime this year. I recently shared my thoughts on a video where I said my theory and guess is that sometime in the early of the year, February, March, April timeframe is probably when they would first officially reveal it, maybe give us the name and a couple of games before giving us even further concrete details in E3. So that seems to be on track. You know, he said sometime soon we're going to be, you know, revealing or discussing the system further. I'm expecting like an in-person sort of press conference like they did with the Wii U and like Sony and Microsoft did with their systems the following year. So that's what I hope to see happen. That's really all they discussed with the NX, so I don't really have too much more about the NX to discuss. He did say, what was the thing? I have it right here. He said, the company isn't looking to build on old ideas, but offer entirely new ones. Nintendo will offer more concrete details sometime this year. So, you know, that's one of those things where I think that they're trying to be extra coy and vague about what they want to discuss at the NX. And why I think they would have a specific conference just for the reveal, because there's obviously some very unique things that they're doing here with the NX, and what that means. They're not looking to build on old ideas, but offer entirely new ones. Part of that is extremely exciting, and part of that is a little bit worrisome. Maybe not worrisome, but troublesome. I'll say that. Because I always believe in Nintendo doing quirky new ideas. They're so excellent at that, and I want their innovation to be included with every new piece of hardware that they come out, all their new tech, and any new games that they come out with. I think it's part of what defines Nintendo and what's in their DNA, and without that, I don't really want them to make new stuff. But I also don't want them to completely forget the basic fundamental building blocks of console hardware and video gaming and what it means to be a gamer and what it means to game. So I just want them to still take the basic concept of what a console is and how you game on it, and take that foundation and carry it into the new console, but then throw another new idea on top of that. Sorry, I can't even speak. It's too early, I guess. You know, to me, that's what the Wii was, the original Wii, where it was still a video game console that played games that you put in the console, and it had a controller that still did a lot of the same things with analog sticks and, you know, buttons and a D-pad and all these things, but then it added the whole movement thing on top of that. So to me, that was the basic foundation of gaming and a gaming console, with a new element on top of it that made gaming in a lot of ways better. And I just want them to do that same thing again. I don't want them to totally throw out these ideas, you know, and do something so out of left field that it no longer feels like a gaming console. I don't think that's what they're going to do, so don't get me wrong. I still, like I said last time, I still have far more faith in them than I do anything else. So I think that they'll do the right things, but just that phrasing makes me wonder, are they going to go too far weird with it? And I do think it's possible for Nintendo to do that, but I don't think they will. I don't want to discuss it any further because we just don't know, and we're just going off so many guesses and theories and rumors, and this is like the most vague comment ever, so I don't want to go too much more on that. Ultimately, it's interesting to hear him say, hey, we're going to discuss the NX soon, and we're not just doing the same old, we're trying entirely new ideas. And that is ultimately, even with my little bit of concern, it's ultimately a good thing. So let's just wait and see what they do there. Now, what's interesting is, this was one of the big things I wanted to talk about. He mentions that that Nintendo is, as they've kind of alluded to in the past, trying to do more with their branding than just gaming. That's where the whole DNA partnership and the smartphone gaming app thing is coming from. That's the whole idea with teaming with Universal to make theme park attractions. That's where that comes from. And then, very famously in this interview, he also discussed TV anime. So those kinds of things to me are actually very exciting. I think that they are the right things to do. You might have heard me discuss this as well on some videos a while ago, but Nintendo branching out with their IPs and their characters and franchises, which are so well known and well loved, branching out with those to create new revenue streams, to me, is fantastically smart business. That is a great business decision. There is nothing wrong with saying, hey, Mario and Zelda and Pokemon and all these things, like, they're great for gaming, and those do very well, but we can do so many other things. I mean, hell, Pokemon is more than just a gaming series. It's a TV show, it's a trading card game, it's action figures, it's been movies, and look at that. That's like 4 or 5 other revenue streams just from one franchise that helps make crazy amounts of dough for Nintendo. And you know what? Mario can be the same thing, and Zelda can be the same thing, and Animal Crossing can be the same thing, and hell, I'd love it if some of the more mature stuff like Metroid and Star Fox and things like that start to branch out. You can do cool things there. That's what Amiibo is. Amiibo is like, it's not gaming. They're little figures that add to gaming, but they're really just collectible figures. And look at how well that's been doing for Nintendo as far as making a profit and making money back. So hey, you start creating theme park attractions, that's all extra dough just because you have your branded, well-known characters and franchises being a part of those things. The smartphone app, I'm telling you guys, this smartphone thing is going to be huge. He did confirm in March, in a couple of months, they're going to officially roll out whatever the first smartphone apps or games are supposed to be. I don't know if Miitomo was one of those. There was that Pokemon Go thing they showed a while ago that I think would probably be really huge for Pokemon fans. Maybe something brand new they haven't showed yet. In a couple of months, that should officially get rolling, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I'm telling you guys, I know it's been very controversial and people are really worried about it, but I think the smartphone thing, if it's done right, and I think it will be, is going to be very successful, and it's going to be good for Nintendo, it's going to be good for this company, and it's probably going to make them a lot of money, guys. And with any luck, it also provides really cool gaming things. I mean, maybe it turns out to be surprisingly cool. Who knows? I'm definitely going to check it out. I mean, I'm a Nintendo guy. I want to know what they're going to do with this whole new idea with smartphones and mobile stuff, and let's see if it plays out. The TV anime thing, I think, is a great step. That is so smart. I mean, movies and TV shows and anime is a great avenue to take Nintendo's characters. I mean, how much do we all want Legend of Zelda movies and Legend of Zelda animes? And, very famously in 2014, they showed that little Link versus Pit Kid Icarus anime little thing that ended with, like, the Smash Brothers. I think that was E3. Anyway, something recently that happened when it was a Smash Brothers Direct or at E3 or something, and they showed that little anime clip that they created just for that. That was Link and Palutena and Pit all in the same little movie real quick. And that got everyone really excited. Me too. I was like, whoa, that's awesome. Like, they need to do things like that. And I'm willing to bet that because of the success and how well received that was, Nintendo was like, hey, there's probably something to this. So I think it's great to hear them talking about this kind of thing. I think that it could be very smart for Nintendo to branch out into these kinds of things. Jesus Christ, a Legend of Zelda movie that was to the quality of, like, Lord of the Rings? People have been talking about that since Lord of the Rings came out. Nintendo, you will make so much money and be so successful and just brand yourself to so many more people if you do stuff like this. And I think that we're seeing the very beginning baby steps to Nintendo finally doing stuff like that. It was like 2 years ago when Iwata first actually said, hey, we're opening our ideas to licensing out our franchises to other avenues, more than just gaming. And I saw it at that time. I was like, I'm telling you, it's going to be like movies and cartoon shows and stuff like that. So hopefully that's what they're talking about, and that's what they're looking at doing really soon. I think it's going to be so smart and very exciting to see what happens with this branching out of Nintendo's IPs sometime in the future. And the last thing real quick is what he said about being very aggressive and wanting to raise and increase Nintendo's profits. Seems pretty obvious. Seems like something that you would think anyone would want to do. You know, you run a company, you work for a company, you want that company to be successful. The more successful it is, the more money everyone makes, the more job security people have, you know, things like that. And he basically just came out and said, hey, I want to go back to a 100 billion yen profit. So for a couple of years, Nintendo stopped making a profit. Last year, for the first time in I think 4 years, they started making a profit again. Their profit was 208 million US dollars. He wants to raise it to 100 billion US dollars. And I'm looking at IGN's article right here, and they say 100 billion yen translates to about $855 million. So last year they made $208 million. He wants to raise it in the next year or a couple of years back up to almost $900 million. That's a huge profit. That's like 3 times as much money as they've been making as profit. And that's his goal. And I think that when you hear them talk about trying to do brand new things with the NX, trying to do the smartphone app thing and generate money that way, and trying to branch out into theme parks and anime shows, and I keep bringing up movies. I think the whole Mario movie thing could probably happen at some point soon. These are the kinds of things that Nintendo is realizing they have to do if they want to get back to these levels of profits, to making 100 billion yen, you know, like almost $1 billion US dollars. That's their goal. And to me, it shows that Kimishima and Nintendo are ready to get aggressive again. I do think that some of this comes from, although I would never trade this for anything, I think the passing of Iwata and having to bring someone else to take hold, and fresh people making new decisions, I think that they're trying to find different ways to do things different than how the company was being run when Iwata was still around running it. And again, make no mistake, Iwata was a fantastically brilliant guy. Some people didn't like the guy, but I loved him. I thought he has done amazing things for Nintendo, which has also subsequently done amazing things for the gaming industry. And I'd have him back in a heartbeat, don't get me wrong. But considering what happened, and we did unfortunately lose him, and Kimishima and a new regime has slowly started to take over and make different decisions, I think these are the kinds of decisions that they feel more comfortable making faster now that there's new people in charge, and Kimishima is able to say, okay, we were making slow steps to get back into the black, but we need to do something more, we need to do it quicker. Here's what we're doing. New NX, new ideas, TV shows, theme parks, smartphone stuff, which Iwata did put in place, but still, we're going to start rolling this stuff out. Let's start going. We can get back to a 100 million yen profit, or 100 billion yen profit, in the next year or a couple of years. I know we can do it. These are the things we need to do. Let's put this shit in place and just go. Boom. And that's, to me, what this feels like, because typically over the last couple of years, you wouldn't hear Nintendo or anyone from Nintendo be so forthcoming and brazen with these comments and with these interviews and say, well, this is what's going on, this is what we plan to do, this is our goal, this is how we're going to get there. They're normally much more vague about this, and they're usually beating around the bush, so to speak, a little bit more than they have been with Kimishima and over these last couple of months. And although, like I said, I would do anything to have Iwata back, I think that this is great. This is very exciting to me. This feels very comfortable to me. This feels very smart. And I've said this a couple times over the last few months as well. I see a stronger, more confident, and more aggressive Nintendo with this new regime than we have the past couple of years. To me, that Nintendo Direct we got at the end of the year, I think in November, that was fantastic to me for all of these reasons. That was showing a new Nintendo to me that was like, hey, we ain't messing around. We're doing, here's new game, better looking Star Fox, better looking Amiibo stuff, all these new games, RPG, and it was like, I thought that Direct was fantastic, partly because of the content and partly because of how Nintendo was presenting it. They feel stronger to me now. And hearing all these words from Kimishima's recent interview with this Japanese newspaper, which I can't find the name of, but with whoever this company was that he interviewed with, this is what it's saying to me. It says that they're ready to kind of just get out there and start doing it again. What the NX is going to turn into, man, I don't know. I mean, I'd love to make this more of an NX speculative kind of video because I know everyone loves that stuff, but we don't have much to go on. He just said it's new ideas. You know, we're not building on old ideas, we're building on new ideas. We're going to show it and talk to you about it sometime very soon. I do think March or so is probably when it's going to be. I was thinking February, and that might be too soon. I feel like March might be now the more ideal slot, but we'll see. I think that they have to give us still a Nintendo Direct focus on Star Fox and focused on Twilight Princess HD. So we're going to have to wait and see. Maybe once they get those things out, then they can be like, all right, let's get everyone together. Let's do this thing. Here's the NX. Boom. So I think that's what's going to happen there. I don't know what it means to create all new ideas, man. they're all new, so it's hard to guess and speculate on them, you know? It's like they're brand new things, which is a good thing and very exciting. So, you know, that's what's going on with some of Kimishima's recent comments about Nintendo and what their plans are and what's happening with trying to generate more revenue, create new streams of making money, and, you know, early plans on what they're going to do with the NX over probably the next couple of months when they decide to reveal it. So, yeah, I think it's all pretty cool stuff. Like I said, it's a confident Nintendo. It's an aggressive Nintendo. All of these plans and goals to me sound very smart. They're the exact kind of things I want Nintendo to be doing. We just have to hope the NX turns out to be as awesome as we all want it to be. So, that's all that information, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, as always. Share your thoughts about all this stuff, Nintendo, Kimishima, the NX, all this stuff below. Love hearing you guys talk about it. This is Rob of Rule 2 Review, and I'll catch you guys next time on another video.